Hello, everyone. Good day, good evening. How are you? I am so excited. We have been doing this for 10 days straight. You're probably like, what have we been doing for 10 days straight? Well, this is Campus Bound GPS October Tips, and I am just thrilled. This is like my highlight of the month. Coming highlight of October, I should say, of the year. So the month of October, Campus Bound GPS dedicates the month of October to us delivering tips to students and parents who navigate the college application process. And I am Lisa Marie Eard, the Collegiate Success Coach for Campus Bound GPS. And I am just so excited to be here. I think it is um, part of my purpose to be able to help students and to be able to help parents go through such an incredible, wonderful time, the college application process, but also a time where you've got angst, you've got anxiety, you've got stress. Um, but I bring my community out and I bring my friends out and I have friends of friends come out so that they can help you navigate the college application process one step at a time, or I should say, one piece at a time, because when you create a checklist, it makes it a lot easier. Hint, hint to my guest who's coming up. So, tonight's tip is uh, create your checklist. Something simple. It sounds simple, but it is involved. So I am super excited, and I am going to bring on Miss Jasmine Jeter. Welcome.
Good evening, Miss Ears. Good evening, everyone.
Please don't. You don't have to go, Miss Eric. That's too formal.
Oh,
No. Now,
too formal, she said.
so this is the first time that Jasmine has been on my show. She is a certified teacher and administrator at a school, a magnet school in Little Rock, Arkansas, that specializes in arts and sciences, the arts and sciences.
Yes.
And she is also the founder and lead instructor of the Scholars Pursuit. So, welcome, Jasmine. I am so glad that you are on the Campus Bound GPS platform of October Tips. So, welcome.
Yes, thank you so much. I am thrilled to be here and to connect with Campus Bound GPS. You mentioned a little bit about me. I'm here in Arkansas, so if you hear a southern drawl, that might be why. I work with high school students all day, every day, most days. So we, of course, are starting a new week, and I am thrilled to come and share a tip today about how to ease this process of college planning. We were talking a little bit before, and I work at a high school and almost been doing that for 20 years now. And I get to meet a lot of great students, connect with a lot of wonderful families, and started out tutoring and really connected with students around navigating this process of going to college. So, talking with them about their dreams, their goals, and then offering support so that they could navigate that successfully and continue to pursue those dreams. So that's where the Scholars Pursuit was born, and we work together. It's a small team right now, but we work together to help students and their families with that process and improving test scores, writing essays, um, locating volunteer opportunities, different aspects of that college planning and college preparation season.
Awesome.
So,
That is awesome. We need a lot of that all over.
yes,
And I am so glad to have someone who can really, speak to, because you are in the school system. You are seeing these students every day. You are, their families are coming in. And I know some of them are like, what do I do?
overwhelmed. Yes, yes. They want to know, what do I do? When do I do it? What happens if I don't want to do it this way? So lots of questions and opportunities to really guide students and their families, because things have changed since, I was in college, since my parents were in college, and now, you want to be able to provide advice and support, but relevant advice and support,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. So that kind of flows into your tip. Create your
Yes.
checklist, create your college application checklist. So, how does someone do that?
So when we talk about going to college, there are a lot of different paths, a lot of different routes that you can take. And what's most important for students and families that want to go to college is to know that you should start as soon as you make a decision and start thinking about college. So that process starts as soon as you decide that you want to go. And so I'm going to give a couple of tips and checkpoints to think about, to look for as you go through this journey after you've made that decision. And the first one is to start early. Okay, so a lot of students think that, well, I'll just wait and do that my senior year, or I'm not supposed to do that until I'm in the 12th grade. And one of the biggest secrets to college application success is starting early. Time is a major resource in this process. So, what you do is important, but also when you do it, right? So, I want to talk a little bit briefly about what should be happening in each year of high school, since we're saying that this college application process starts pretty early. So, if you are in the ninth grade, or as soon as you make this decision, right, this process kind of starts with the exploration phase. So, learning about yourself. So, taking interest surveys, um, kind of deciding what you're interested in. A lot of times, students, when they're younger, they don't know a lot about themselves. They know what they don't like, possibly, but they're not well informed about what they do like. And so, interest surveys are a standardized way of kind of learning about yourself, what career and what jobs you may enjoy, right? So, definitely learning about yourself, just exploring and researching this idea of college in the first place. So, what does it mean if I have an associate's degree versus a bachelor's degree versus a master's or a doctorate? So, just understanding this process or this concept of higher education, right? In ninth grade, you should also be thinking about, what academic skills do I have that are going to carry me into my advanced courses and ultimately college. Were you going to ask something, Lisa Marie?
You could tell that I was going there, right?
I could. I could.
Entrance surveys. I have never.
Interest, your
Oh,
interest.
interest,
Mm-hmm.
interest.
Mm-hmm.
So I have never heard. I think. Well, I think we have a tool out here in our school system called Naviance,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
think that does something like that. So,
Naviance is a platform, and one component of that platform is interest surveys, kind of job matching, taking what students are interested in and recommending career paths based on those interests. Absolutely, that's a
okay.
common platform.
So you're saying, because I don't think my children got introduced to that until later on. So as early as possible, your freshman year, that's, if you have a platform similar to a Naviance that they have all your information embedded
Yes,
into this platform, students should try to take that survey.
they should. And I know in our school system, we use Naviance as well. And I talked to not just freshmen, but sophomores and juniors as well about the importance of taking those surveys seriously and taking them each year. Okay. You and I, Lisa Marie, you and I know that as you grow, you're going to change. Your interests, your values change. And so, as a college bound student, I should be taking those surveys at least every year to see what things are still of value to me, what things are still interesting to me, and what have I kind of shifted away from.
I like that.
That's part
I
of
like
that exploration, right? And learning about yourself. So those are just a few things in the ninth grade or as soon as you make that decision. Now, even when you're in the 10th or 11th grade and you're making this decision, you would still kind of start with some exploration, some discovery, so to speak, about what this concept is about college and why would I be going to college, right? Really trying to solidify the why, their personal why. 10th and 11th grade, you're going to still kind of be discovering and researching certain colleges at this point, right? So this is where you may start building a college list we talked about. So another thing you want to do, so we talked about starting early. In 10th and 11th grade, you're going to start building your list, your college list. And this is just the list of colleges that you're really going to focus on developing an application for. Also, in the 10th grade, you want to start, if you haven't already, making sure that you're involved in some type of volunteer work. What looks really good on applications for college and scholarships is that you can contribute something. So they want to tell, what type of character you have and how do you demonstrate that character and these gifts that you have. How do you use them to give back and invest into your community and those organizations around you? So 10th and 11th grade is you really trying to not so much jump around and volunteer for a bunch of different things. So students shouldn't think about quantity of volunteer hours, but the quality of that. So are you showing consistency in something? Are you really showing that this is I take a real interest in this topic or this kind of work? So that's your 10th and 11th grade year.
And I'll add this: when a child, a young adult,
Right.
you're growing up, takes an interest in something like going to shelters and feeding the homeless or something like that, you experience what you like to do
Mm-hmm.
and what you may not like to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, you talked about values and character. I think that builds character and it helps define your values. Where, now you have an opportunity, especially for these essays, that
Yes.
you can speak to it.
Yes.
So you're gaining experience. So I like that.
You're gaining that experience and one of the threats to our mental health as adults is going every day to a place where we don't feel fulfilled or acknowledged or rewarded. And so taking this time early on during high school, really learning about yourself, learning what you enjoy, it's more than just about your college application. It's really about ensuring that you're healthy, that you're happy emotionally when you go into your adulthood and you're away from your parents and your guardians that have supported and sheltered you some throughout your life. So you really want to take time to explore, find out about yourself. And when I say explore, that means participate in some volunteer activities that you may not have initially been interested in.
Mhm.
Go to this new school club and see what they have to offer. Hang out with some students that you would not normally associate or talk to, because that's how you really hone that skill of networking and just really identifying your strengths and areas there. Well, I need to work on that, or I'm not so good at that.
But you know something also, when you do that, it prepares you for when you transition from high school to college and you are meeting your new network. You're meeting the folks who are going to be in your major. You're going to
Absolutely.
be meeting your roommate if you don't know your roommate already. It just
Exactly.
helps with that, getting to know someone new. Because
And that's a soft skill that we need.
yeah, and the interesting thing is I grew up in New York. So my elementary school versus my high school, two different areas. I used public transportation to get to school, and it was just so different than living out here where I live now. I'm in the suburbs. My children knew their friends from
Yes.
elementary school through middle school through high school, and it's different transitioning from high school to
It is.
college when you've grown up with these children
I
who are
know it.
growing with you, and now you're going into a larger pool where folks are coming from all over.
All over. And there's an element to that. Um, no matter what college you choose, right? That's a part of moving into that, transitioning into that next phase of life. And so your college application process, you should journey through that process with that thinking in mind. It's not just about college, it's about college as a means to this life that I want to have. So, starting early, right? There's something that you can do every year, um, even if you're not a 12th grader. There are things that should be going on each year of high school. And whenever you make the decision, those are things that you want to make sure that you take care of first. Researching colleges, making sure you understand what options are offered to you, and really being able to connect this college experience to this career that you aspire to, right? So start early. The next tip would be to build a balanced college list. And so when we talk about balance, a lot of times students want to know, well, how many colleges should I apply to? How many colleges should be on this list? And, that really depends on where you are in this process. If I'm just starting and I'm a freshman or a 10th grader, I can have every college I ever heard of on that list if I want to, because I'm just trying to shape this idea or this expectation that I want to have for my college experience. Once I'm in my 11th grade year or 12th grade year, that list should be narrowed down to about 8 to 10 colleges, right? And so when we talk about a balance, we're talking about those colleges. And students may have heard of these three labels: a safe school, a reach school, or a target school. Okay, so safe school is a school, and this is all about really how you compare to students that go there. Okay, so when we talk about a safe school, that school is safe for you in terms of the likelihood that you will be admitted. And we base that level of security on your test scores and different demographic information, right? So if you have test scores that are higher than that school's 75th percentile, right? Then that's probably a safe school for you. Okay. And why is that important? Why do I need a couple of safe schools on my list? Because I need some security, right? This college decision, there's some risk to that, right? I'm taking a chance on myself and asking others to take a chance. And so you do want a level of security. If all else fails, I have a pretty good idea of these schools that I can get into, right? So if you want to think of it kind of like you're overqualified, okay? Think of the schools that you might be overqualified for. Then your target school is that school that's ideal for you, and it's ideal in every way. Um, Location, size, even cost, right? So cost is usually number one on our list. And
Wait, wait,
rightfully
wait, no, wait. Cost is number one on a parent's list.
okay.
Cost is not number one on a student's
And
list.
if the students have heard their parents time and time again, they may think, wait a minute, is cost? Yeah, you're right.
Mhm.
You're right. It's definitely number one on the parents list. And so sometimes, your target school is a little bit above that price, but it's still something your family may be able to manage, if we approach it correctly. So that's your target school or a match school. That's the school that you are, that's your ideal school. And then of course those reach schools, those are the schools that there's a small chance, right, of admission. Um, and also it's a reach in terms of affordability as well. We're really going to be stretching ourselves as a family, or really reaching far to make this happen. And so you do want a couple of reach schools on your list as well, because depending on their admissions rate and what they're trying to achieve, you might even get a better financial aid offer from one of those highly selective schools. So when we talk about a balanced list, those are the different types of schools that you want, and some reasons why you want to make sure you have a balance of different schools.
So I want to add, and I had a somewhat of a conversation with a student that I'm working with now, and she was getting into a little funk because she was like, "Well, someone told me I won't get into the schools that I selected,"
Yeah.
and I said, "Listen, I said, don't ever let anyone spoil your joy, but if you have done your research."
Mm-hmm.
And if you have seen the criteria that's recommended for you to gain entry into that school, you should be able to make it. Yes, it's competitive, but you're going to put yourself in a position to be successful. And in order to do that, you need to do your research. So don't, and I think when students are picking their schools, don't just pick a school because, oh yeah, this has my major. That's
Right.
only a part of it. Pick a school that you've done the research on, that you know that you have an opportunity to be successful in.
Yes.
And I think that's very important.
It's very important that you do your own research and not take someone else's word for it, because you're going to be the person in this experience. And what may work for someone else is going to be very different for
Right.
you. And, just the sooner you learn that, just in life in general, the better it is. Comparison is the thief of joy. Absolutely, right? Because
You need to repeat that.
comparison is the thief of joy. If I'm always turning my head, looking, comparing, I never get an opportunity to enjoy and value what I have, what I possess, what's going on for me. And so, college is a big decision. The application process can be stressful at times, but it's always a good rule of thumb to let your course be your course. You don't have to compare yourself or think that you have less of a chance because your journey doesn't look like someone else's. We have to do things for us the way that we learn, the way that we thrive. And that's why starting early gives you an opportunity to really shape how this process goes for you. But absolutely doing your own research, attend some college visits, go on some virtual tours, meet some people, talk to some students, get a personal perspective before you make a final decision. Um, Also, on our college planning checklist, you want to make sure that you're not relying too heavily on your school. Okay. And I want to be sure to be clear about this tip, because your school is an amazing resource. Your counselors, your teachers work hard every day, but what they're doing is laying the foundation. Okay. And so it's up to the student and our families to take initiative and take action, and use what the school does as a springboard, okay, for more. So when the school provides different workshops, if they provide different avenues for you to learn about college and your strengths and what you're interested in, then you take that and you use that to go farther. So you take that information and you research some internships, or you research some different organizations that are connected to initiatives like those things you're interested in, so that you can get that one-on-one and that firsthand experience that we talked about. A lot of times students are like, I don't know how to write. I don't know what to write about. I don't know how to write this. I don't know how to answer this question. Well, your experiences will help you build some things to write about and to share about, right? So, really getting involved and making sure that you're not waiting on your school to hand you everything, right? Really taking initiative and taking action on things, on the information that's being provided to you. Also, we talked about doing your own research, right? So, one of the big components of college planning is financial aid. I mean, we got to talk about how are we going to pay for this? And of course, students don't understand maybe the gravity of financial aid and making the decision to pay for college, but parents do, right? So part of that research for students and parents can center on, what's the cost of attendance? Let's get everything down. Let's get these numbers together so that when we complete the FAFSA, we know what numbers we're talking about. When we're researching scholarships, we know an amount, a dollar amount that we kind of need to be shooting for in terms of our scholarship strategy. So your research should include your financial aid options. So what price are we talking about? What do I qualify for? What am I eligible for? How do I lower the amount of money that the government says I should pay? All of that can happen if you start early enough in the process, right? And truly become strategic about how we're going to navigate and complete each one of these checkpoints. And these are just some things that oftentimes students and their families don't know about, especially depending on the communities that they come from. Some
Right.
information is very prevalent, where in other communities it's not, right? So just learning some of those strategies, some of those tricks that you can use to really take it full advantage of your financial aid options. Now, I don't know how many students we have out there, but this next piece of advice is for them. Okay. So this has to do with following through. Okay. As a student, you got to have a solid follow through game. Um, College is a decision that the family is going to all participate and engage around. But again, that student is the one that's going to be going to college. And so that follow through has got to come from them. When you visit a college or you get to meet with a campus representative, you follow through, you follow up with an email, or maybe you even write a letter talking about some of the things that interested you. This
Write a
is
letter? What?
right, right. So
Repeat
I work with a lot of great students, right? And even the brightest students sometimes forget that personal touch to networking, right?
that.
Um, so college and admissions counselors, they see students all the time. You want to do something so that they'll remember you, so that they'll think of you. We work on demonstrated interest, right? So have you demonstrated that you're interested in this college? All of that is a part of your college application process, because it can increase your financial aid offer. It can give you early access to different programs and opportunities on campus. So you want to make sure that you're doing those things and you're following through. So yeah, you had a great campus tour. Follow up. You were
And I
supposed
like, I'm sorry to cut you
to
off.
go.
I
No,
really, I really like that because what I learned, I actually learned this last year, I believe, that schools track how many times you call, how many times you write, how many times.
You've opened an email from them. So things like getting on their mailing list, just different things that sometimes we think doesn't matter. Nobody's tracking that. Yes, they are.
Mhm.
Yes, they are. And they're using that information to make their offers more appealing to students with similar backgrounds or similar interests. So it's very important, and a lot of times this process becomes stressful because a parent is trying to remind their student, do this, I need you to do this, did you do this? And there's a
Oh, that was
breakdown.
me. That was me.
There's a breakdown, right? So following through, taking ownership of this process, gathering the documentation with advance notice. If you need someone to write a letter of recommendation, right? Follow up with them. You can ask them in person, follow up in an email. And then when it's getting close to the date that you need that letter, just check in again and be sure that you show them some kind of way that you appreciated them, right? Whether it's a thank you note, a thank you email, some small token. All of those things are efforts that help ease that college application process. Okay. One last thing I want to talk before you and I kind of answer some questions, is make sure that you are considering all of the factors when you're making this final decision. A lot of times we look at a dollar amount, or we look at a fraternity or an organization, or we look at the campus life, and we base this decision on one factor, when in fact your college list should be balanced, and the decision that you make should be a decision that comes from balanced consideration of all of those different factors, right? So you really want to think about those things, and make sure that all of your exploration, all of your research, all of your questions, use that early start to answer and identify some of those things, so that when you get to 11th and 12th grade, you some things are not decided yet, but other things are. You want to make sure that you move forward in your process, and kind of make some decisions, use that information. A lot of times students are anxious, they are nervous, they're a little apprehensive because they think they need every question answered, when they sign the dotted line for a college they want to attend, and that's just not the case. Some things you do want to have decided, but other things can be undecided until you get farther into your actual college experience. So, Lisa Marie, I mean, that's those are just a few checkpoints, right, for the college, for this process to start early, do your own research, make sure you're following through, and make sure that you're not relying too heavily on your school to stay on track in this process.
I really enjoyed hearing this bit of information. Um, and I had to step away.
No, you're okay.
I'm like, I have my water right here, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whew. But excuse me. So one thing that, we did focus on the students. One question I do have for you is, because you work in a school system, and yes, the students are, the main focus,
Yes.
but what are some things that parents come to you and ask, or um, are concerned about?
Well, the one thing, parents are either they start early, really early, or they feel like they are behind in terms of where they should be in the college process. So, um, a lot of times I get questions about financial aid. They know that they don't want loans, so we have a lot of questions about what are different options, how do I become eligible or qualify for different um, different types of aid. They also have questions about the process in general. This is what they say: girl, it's changed since I was in college. Yes, you're right. I know. And so they want to know, what's the same, what's different. They also want help, encouraging their student and keeping them motivated. A lot of times parents don't want it to become something negative, something stressful. So they often have questions about how do I gently encourage my student to stay on track, to do a little something, to make progress, each week, each month. How
So,
do I do that?
so as
Mm-hmm.
a bonus, what can you tell the parents?
So for as a bonus, what I like to tell parents is to really try to include the student. Try to shift from delegating and telling them what to do, talking to them about the process as a whole, and then what are some things that you would like for me to do? Okay, what are some things that you feel comfortable taking care of? Definitely making it a visual process, reminders around the house, in the car. I know one week you mentioned one of the tips was having family conversations about college. So, in addition to starting early so that we don't feel that pressure of time, also talking about it often, talking about college to where it becomes second nature, these conversations, these questions, and really giving them opportunity to take some ownership and make the process what they want it to be.
I love that. I love that because I think the students have a greater success rate in college if they own the process. So I
I've
think
actually had some parents share that they were micromanaging and just kind of hovering over their child. And then when they took a step back, their child did struggle a little bit, but now they're excelling so much more, and the parents often attribute it to them kind of stepping back and shifting how they approached that conversation.
awesome, awesome. So your tips have been amazing.
I am thrilled. My toes are over here tingling. I'm just so excited that I got to be here with you this evening.
And you're coming back.
I am coming back October 22nd.
I am looking forward to that. I was so excited that you booked 2 dates with us. So
Yes.
I'm really excited. But I want to, some of the highlights that I took away from our conversation today. And the main one is the interest surveys. I think, starting early and
Mhm.
doing an interest survey, especially for ninth graders who, um, first of all, they're marveled at that jump from, middle school
Yes.
to high school. It's a big deal.
It's a
And
big deal.
especially those who have not had their growth spurt, they're looking at these, upperclassmen like,
Telling you.
oh, wow, I want to be like you one day. And you're so marveled at just being in high school, you're
Yes.
not thinking about college.
Yes. And
So,
it's like everybody's telling you, you're getting ready to go to high school. You're getting ready to go to high school. It doesn't sink in until they're kind of in the first quarter of high school, and they're kind of like, oh, wait, I need to take some of this seriously.
mhm. And I think that's the conversation, some of the conversations that needs to happen as well is if
Yes.
you are, I remember my son writing an essay for a scholarship competition, and I had to chuckle because I can't remember the topic, but somewhere in there he said, "Well, the conversation was always that I was going to college." It's like he didn't have a choice,
That's
and I'm
right.
like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah.
But I think it's because that's the way that our family has been.
Mm-hmm.
That's always been the conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when he was right, I felt bad
You felt bad a little bit.
a little
I
bit.
mean, I
Like
don't.
that's
I
the
mean,
expectation.
I can
you know,
understand what you're saying, but I think it was more so he never even considered something
anything else.
else. And I was like that. I was
Mhm.
like that. I never thought I mean, I'm supposed to go to college, you know? I mean, that's what I thought for myself.
Yeah. But I think, having a household, if the intent,
Yes.
because there are choices.
Yes.
So if you know your child and the intent is for your child to go to college, then, but even so, even this interest survey thing, I love it. I love it.
I
That's like,
mean, because yeah,
it
you
can
may find
define
out
that's not for you.
you may find out, oh, I'm interested in something that doesn't necessarily require college. And
Exactly.
and we should know that as early as possible, you
Hmm.
know?
Hmm. But
I
I
have
also,
my daughter is in high school now, and at first she kind of talked like she didn't want to go to college. And on the inside of me, I was kind of like, "Oh no, what are we going to do?" Not my child, but I didn't say anything because um that was early on. And so the more we talked about it, she did some research on her own. She kind of started looking at some things in her spare time. And then the conversation changed. So the interest surveys have a lot of value, a lot of value.
yeah. So that to me, that is one of the um, biggest takeaways from this conversation.
And as you mentioned, I mean, we have access to it. Naviance, you know, you look within your school system to see what resources they already have that you can use.
And then the other takeaway that I appreciate this conversation about is getting involved in volunteer work.
Yes,
I think, you mentioned solidifying your why. That's all a part of it.
that's
You
right.
go in and you find out the things that you like doing or you're good at or you give back to.
Hmm.
Because I always say that when you are choosing your career,
Hmm.
you're using your gifts, your talents, your abilities to do something spectacular, but it's a give back.
It's a give back.
You know, I use my gift, talents, and abilities to give back to those who are looking and searching and trying to figure out this whole college application
That's
process.
right.
But, as a doctor, you're giving back somebody their health,
That's
their,
right.
strength, their, way of living.
Hmm.
And I think students need to realize that, oh, I want to be a fireman. Well, why do you want to be a fireman? Because I want to be able to keep someone's structure. When it is going down in flames, I want to try to
Yes.
save it as fast as possible.
Yes.
Or protect people when they're in those structures going up in flames. That's all a part of what you do. So
Yes.
it's not only for you, it's for others.
Yes.
And the only way you can learn that is through volunteering and honing your talents, your values.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's all embedded in that. So I really thank you. Thank you. I
Yes.
really enjoyed our conversation this
You're welcome. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so, so much.
So how can people find you?
So you can find me on Facebook at The Scholars Pursuit. Also on Instagram, the same handle at The Scholars Pursuit. And also, we have a website, so thescholarsPursuit.com. And you can also email me at solutions@thescholarsPursuit.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate this conversation. I look forward to you coming back.
Yes.
And folks out there, this is it. We just wrapped up day 10. Excuse me. I've been choking a little bit this whole time. I think it's part of the conversation.
It's
That's what
part of the
it
conversation.
it got me all choked up. But this has been an awesome message tonight. Lots of things to take notes on. So if you didn't um, if you want, you have different platforms because
Yeah.
we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we just joined LinkedIn this year. So you have ways of seeing this information and taking notes and following through on the notes.
Yes.
So thank you. I want to say good night and be safe. This is Lisa Marie Aird for Campus Bound GPS. Bye bye.